Alright, this next game is called Typewriter. To begin, all I'll need is the name of a story that's never been told.
The walrus that jiggled.
The walrus that jiggled.
A long time ago, in a fanciful land that was filled with fairies and sprites and walruses, there was one unhappy walrus named Walter. He was unhappy because he wiggled.
He would much rather be a straight walrus, going up and down only, not side to side. His friend, Timmy the walrus, walked up as unjiggly as can be and said,
Hi, how are you today?
and he replied,
Jiggly as ever.
Walter the jiggly walrus didn't like the chipper attitudes of the straight walruses. So he said,
If you don't stop that, I'll unleash my jiggles on you and tackle you. Take you down in a second.
the challenge had been made, and by the laws of this land, they now must fight to the death. Along came the head fairy sprite to judiciate.
Hello, I am the head fairy sprite.
the head fairy sprite had been elected in a very close election, but was now solid on his podium atop all of the fairy sprites. He knew the rules for these types of encounters and explained them by saying,
Well, you see, the rules are very explicitly laid out by the Fairy Walrus Council. First, you each must bow 3 times, raise 1 foot, jump up and down, spin around twice, don't forget it, and then salute as such. You may begin.
and they did begin. The bowing began. They did it thricely. Or a little more, or a little less. I mean, whatever. Fairy rules are pretty lax about these things. It was really just a formality anyway.
And so the fighting began. The straight walrus came up and made the first blow. And said with this mighty blow,
There, I got you!
However, Shanny, the walrus, came running in. Shanny was a pacifist, and thus hated this violence, this intra-walrus violence. She exclaimed,
Can we all just get along?
the 2 fighting walruses decided they would rather put their differences aside and beat this 3rd walrus to a pulp.
and so they teamed up 2-on-1. The head fairy sprite knew the rules for 2-on-1 encounters, and also explained those rules by saying,
Ah, yes, that is a very nice 2-on-1, but first you must make sure that she stands on 1 foot, then 2, spins around while bowing, and then gives you the 2-year salute.
We knew at this point that the head fairy sprite had been dipping into the fairy powder.
If you can try it, I highly recommend it.
So the battle went on, and the head fairy sprite decided that it was too violent for his happy magical land.
Oh no, this is far too much. Cease and desist with your walrus violence.
But they did not obey the head fairy. They kept on with their violence.
That's when the head fairy sprite ran off and got his rather large and muscly fairies to come and break up the fight.
Hey, what the heck is going on here?
He said. He continued threatening the walruses.
You walruses should know better. This is the 4th time since lunch I've been out here to break the 3 of you up.
The walruses could tell that this guardian of the fairy land meant business. More business than any previous guardian, and more business than any guardian ever after him will have. The walruses were stunned. They decided to make a break for it, really, really fast. Really, really fast with 4 walruses.
The fairy sprite enforcer caught up with them quite easily. Clapped them in irons and threw them into the fairy jail. The mournful walruses were heard to lament
The only way they could get out was explained by the Guardian. He said,
The only way that these walruses could possibly escape would be to obtain the magical key from my pocket.
Fortunately, these walruses, like previous generations, were very trained in the arts of pickpocketing. Shani the walrus leaned in and pickpocketed with her tusks the key to the prison cell. She handed it off to Walter the walrus, who made a bold move and placed it in the keyhole.
Walter's jiggliness allowed him to slip around the bars and place the key into the hole.
They got out and ran away out of sight from the Guardian. Finally, Walter's jiggliness had come in handy. All the other walruses loved and appreciated him now that his jiggliness was special.
Hear the cheers!